What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, I'm back again. My wife went to a Taylor Swift concert 2 weeks back, and she came back with COVID. And then I got COVID a few days later, and then our children caught the COVID a few days after that. So instead of all of us being sick at one time, we basically scattered it across 2 weeks. So that is where I have been. That's why I haven't posted a video in like 12-13 days. The whole family's had COVID this whole time. We are all better now. We're doing good. And Great League Remix Cup is back. So I'm going to be bringing something extremely spicy, dangerous, and dare I say, you got to be careful if you try this team, right? It is a pedal to the metal. There is no room for error, but there can be a lot of fun and a lot of damage to be had. So we have an Empoleon Shadow Gallade core with a Shadow Zapdos safe swap there. Empoleon puts in work in this meta. Absolutely amazing. Shadow Gallade, I felt like was the hindrance on this team. I didn't really get it going as much as it could possibly have done, but it did a great job locking down Quagsires. And then Shadow Zapdos really shined for me today as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. All right, getting into the first battle, we have Empoleon on the lead versus Pidgeot. Pretty good lead as we see here, and we will see them decide to swap out, and they swap out into Litleo, which is very interesting because the Incinerate damage is doing a lot of neutral damage to me. I really can't do that much in this situation. Now, thankfully, because of the team dynamic that I have, the Pidgeot is not a big threat because I do have a Zapdos as well. But what I need to do is I need to get rid of this Litleo before it fully incinerates me down, and I only need to get to 2 more Hydro Cannons in order to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and shield. I should be able to survive this Incinerate, so I'm going to go ahead and throw the Hydro Cannon here. But the damage didn't hit yet, which means if they actually let this go, boom, which they did, I survive. Now, I'm going to swap out into Zapdos right away because this is going to force Pidgeot to firstly shield because of Drill Peck here. And secondly, they're going to have to throw a Brave Bird in order to knock me out, which means they're going to be weakened, and Empoleon might be able to pull something off in that situation, whereas before, maybe I couldn't. So Brave Bird, boom, will knock out the Zapdos. And this is what I said about this team. It is dangerous in both directions, right? So we come in with Empoleon, and they have a Pyroar in the back. Such a cool themed team, Pyroar, or triple normal, double family fire normal backline, and then the Pidgeot coming back in is unfortunately going to get hit with another Hydro Cannon. So Empoleon really carried this game for me, right? I didn't even need this Shadow Gallade. Could I have brought Shadow Gallade into the Pyroar? Yeah, sure, right? Close combat, a lot of damage, but good game to my opponent. Alright, moving to the next one, we have Defense Form Deoxys on the lead. Defense Form Deoxys can be a bit tough for this team because of the raw, neutral, or super effective damage that it can do across the board. Now, they swap in a Dunsparce as well, which is very tough and can be a good core breaker against this team because of the super effective rollout and rock slide to Zapdos, and then that drill run to Empoleon as well. So I'm already up against a very tough core, their core being the Defense Form Deoxys and Dunsparce, because my team is going to struggle against that. So we're going to see what we can do as we do land a Drill Peck here, and I'm going to see if I can get to the next one in time, but I really don't know if this is going to be worth it. I'm really curious, and I'm risking this here to see if Shadow Gallade can sweep. I'm hoping that it can, because otherwise if I go down shields, then Defense Form Deoxys can like one-shot, right? Or not one-shot the Empoleon, but you know, some counter Thunderbolt that's going to one-shot. So Drill Run is going to hit us. I'm going to commit to the aggressive farm down here. I'm going to hope that the Hydro Cannon, obviously if the Hydro Cannon gets a shield, that's great, but landing for damage as well is going to be good, so it's a win-win situation right here. And we're going to swap into Gallade now to get ahead on energy, and they're not swapping out. And I go for the Leaf Blade right away. So now I'm really curious, what do they have in the back? If they had a hard counter, I think they swap into it. If they don't, then they have to throw the Psycho Boost and bail. So I'm hoping that I can potentially win this endgame, but it's a Toxapex in the back. Now, It is a Pokemon that Gallade can do well against, right? With Psycho Cut and Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is neutral. But we don't have enough shields. We're out of shields right now. Toxapex still has plenty of health. I would need a shield right here, and then 2 more Psycho Cuts, or 2 more Leaf Blades in order to get anywhere near close to winning this game. So unfortunately, Toxapex is going to take me out. The Empoleon as well. Drill Peck's just not going to be enough. It didn't matter if I threw it right there. It's not one-shotting, and there's still Defense from Deoxys to deal with. So good game to my opponent. Alright, moving into the next one. Empoleon on the lead versus a shiny Mantine right there. Good flex by my opponent. The Mantine, that blue is beautiful. And thankfully, Empoleon can do pretty well in this matchup where we're going to be forcing the first shield from them because Water Pulse here will be resisted. It does a good amount of damage, but I'm going to be able to outpace in terms of the charge moves. And as you guys will see, the double Drill Peck here is what can potentially threaten the health on the Mantine, as it does quite a bit of neutral damage. Now, the Water Pulse from them is not going to be enough to KO. If my Empoleon hangs on, it's going to be close, but they do decide to shield, and they're overloading a bit, so this is fine. Okay, Water Pulse now from this range can knock out, so we're going to go ahead and let this go. Obviously, I can come in with Zapdos here. That's the play. I got myself the 2-to-1 shield advantage. We come in with Zapdos. They bring in Drapion. Now, Drapion is a solid Pokemon. If you guys have never used it before, it's a great safe swap with Poison Sting, Aqua Tail, Crunch. Really good moveset combination. But what we need to ensure here is that my Zapdos maintains positive switch advantage and that I maintain a lot of health. So I'm going to shield right away, and I'm going to throw Drill Peck right away. You do not want to mess around with the Drapion with the Aqua Tail potential spam. They did go for Crunch, but we do knock it out. And then we will see if Mantine comes back in. I doubt it, obviously. But it's going to be another flyer. It's going to be Jumpluff. So this is where things get very dicey. This is an ABA flyer formation, right? Mantine lead, Drapion, and then Jumpluff in the back. So I'm obviously now very concerned about potentially winning this game, because if they have acrobatics, which they don't, they have aerial ace, then I potentially lose. Now, Mantine coming in, I'm going to look to, I was hoping to swap right there. I knew they were close to another charge move, but the aerial ace is not going to be enough to knock us out, so my Zapdos is going to be able to farm down, but they got that extra wing attack in, which means I'm only able to throw 1 Drill Peck, even though I have 2, right? I have back-to-back Drill Pecks right here. I have enough energy. I don't have enough health. So now it's going to come down to Gallade with Psycho Cut and Close Combat in order to win this game. If I threw Leaf Blade right there, I don't think it knocks out, and I do survive the Aerial Ace. Close Combat here in the zeros is definitely enough damage, so Shadow Gallade is going to be able to clutch this one up. Boom! That is going to be a good game, very well played. Alright, moving to the next one. Empoleon versus Quagsire in the lead. Quagsire, I always fear that they're going to be Mud Shot, Mud Bomb, which is why I swap out into Zapdos. But the reality is everyone's kind of transitioned to Aqua Tail after the community day, right? But I still have this like stigma in my head that it is a Mud Bomb I need to swap out, when the reality is I don't really need to. So I'm going to go ahead and shield here in case it is Stone Edge, as they decided to stay in, and it is Stone Edge, so perfect. And now we are really going to start putting the pressure down here on Quagsire, because Drill Peck does so much, right? They're going to get knocked out if they don't shield. So they do decide to shield here, and this is where something very interesting is going to happen. I'm going to shield, right, just in case it is going to be Stone Edge, but now I've seen it's Aqua Tail. So this actually gives me the green light to do kind of a crazy play, as since they must be weak in the back to Zapdos. So I'm going to swap to Empoleon right back to my lead to catch the Stone Edge, as it is going to be resisted. So that's a beautiful catch right there. And then Steel Wing, we're just going to be completely farmed down. As I know they don't have Mud Bomb, right? They have Aqua Tail and Stone Edge, which means we're easily going to be able to survive and farm down. They bring in their own Empoleon, and ladies and gentlemen, this is why I love Empoleon. Empoleon's probably one of my favorite Pokemon. It's not my favorite, right? Alolan Marowak's the GOAT, but Empoleon is just so good. They are going to commit to the farm down. I know we're in the mirror right here, but they're going to commit to the farm down. But my Empoleon was able to do so much damage with Hydro Cannons that we are now simultaneously knocking out. So Empoleon just took him out. They decided to surrender. So that is going to be a good game. Very well played. All right, moving to the next one. Shadow Pidgeot on the lead. So we'll have to see what's in the back. Obviously, pretty decent lead for us. They swap in Quagstar, so I bring in the Shadow Gallade right here. Obviously, Aqua Tail is going to hurt. It actually hurt more than I thought it was going to as I let it go through, and that did quite a bit. So I'm going to lose Switch here. But in a situation where we have a Zapdos and we have an Empoleon, losing Switch against a Pidgeot lead is not a bad thing. As long as I get myself shield advantage, I'm going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and shield as it is going to be the Aqua Tail. I'm going to look to go for one more Leaf Blade. This is going to get me that the 1-0 shield advantage, or I get switched. So I get the 1-0s. They farm down. Now they've shown they've had Aqua Tail, so they're not going to have Mud Bomb. So I can come in with, I mean, they might. That'd be a bit crazy. I'm going to come in with the Empoleon right here, because I know I can resist the charge moves, right, as they have shown Aqua Tail. So Stone Edge, not going to be enough. I'm going to overload one fast move. I could have probably gotten away with two more right there, maybe. But we're going to go for Hydro Cannon here. Knock out the Quagsire. We have 1-0s. We automatically swap, and in comes Defense Form Deoxys. And this is going to be a very interesting endgame because I need to make sure I have plenty of energy as I stop the Psycho Boost. And I'm going to continuously load up. They swap in the Pidgeot. This is where I made my mistake. I think I should have gone for Drill Peck and Farm Down, but I went for the Thunderbolt, which I think is fine because it does a lot of damage, but maybe I could have undercharged it, because what I really need is I needed to win this race to the next charge move here, right? Defense Form Deoxys is able to throw a Psycho Boost after their debuff was cleared, but they actually throw a Thunderbolt here to knock me out, which then opens the door for my Empoleon, because now Hydro Cannon is able to win Charge Attack priority, and that is going to be a good game. So, had my opponent thrown Psycho Boost, I think I lose, but we didn't. They didn't. So good game to my opponent. I threw right there, but then they made a mistake. So good game. All right, moving to the next one. We have Berserker on the lead. Heavy damage, as Daniel would say. But this is going to be a very interesting game because Berserker on the lead tells me they are not afraid to run Spice. And sure enough, there is a Blastoise right there. So I decide to go for Drill Peck in this situation because I know Leaf Blade can't one-shot the Blastoise. But I also want you guys to notice that I didn't build up to double charge moves. I thought I did right there, but I didn't. That's going to come back to bite me. So Leaf Blade right here obviously is going to be getting the shield from Blastoise, so we're in the ones. I can safely shield right here. So I'm going to be losing all shields, and there is a Berserker to deal with, so that could be a bit dangerous. But I think I'm going to be okay as I can overload on energy and look to go for Leaf Blade. If they decide to shield, then I obviously I throw the next Leaf Blade, or I might consider just letting it go and then coming in hard farming with Zapdos, right? But they decided to no shield, so now we're probably going to see Berserker come in to farm down. I'm going to try to, yeah, we do get to close combat in time. This obviously one-shots Berserker, so they have to shield. And then this is where I thought I had Hydro Cannon ready. I didn't! I had to do one fast move right there, and they catch the charge move on a Seaking. And I'm like, oh, that would have been perfect. Because the fast swap, I had so much energy, but I made that mistake, that slight mistake to not go for the extra fast move against the Blastoise. And Drill Peck is not going to be enough, as they will be able to dance this line perfectly, as the Drill Run is going to be knocking me out. So, Shadow Zapdos is my only hope and prayer to potentially win this game, and I think it can do it. Because Foul Play I don't think is going to be enough damage from Berserker, and we'll have to find out, right? Shadow Claw, right? Shadow Claw damage did quite a bit. Now we get to see the Foul Play as it does a lot of neutral damage. We are able to hang on, and because of how much damage Shadow Claw was doing, I decided to go for Drill Peck here instead of Thunderbolt, even though it is resisted, And that looks to be enough as we simultaneously KO, but I still had Gallade with 1 health point, so I was able to win. Good battle. Alright, Magnezone. Ooh, this is going to be a tough one. Magnezone is a core breaker. Magnezone can be tough to deal with. I'm just going to go straight Hydro Cannons, try to get as much damage out, or obviously shields, from my opponent. Now, this isn't Shadow Magnezone, and they decided the last second to swap into Mantine, and this just opens the door for me, right? I'm not sure why my opponent did that. They could have fast moved me down there. But Water Pulse, we're going to go ahead and shield. We're going to constantly overload on energy. We're going to go for Drill Peck here. This isn't going to be enough to one-shot, so I should be able to farm down. Yep, barely not enough, so I do get the farm down, but they get the charge move in time. Now, this is just an Aerial Ace. That wasn't enough for a second Water Pulse, so we're going to let that go. And then we have Thunderbolt ready for the Magnezone, which is perfect, because now we get the second shield from my opponent, which is beautiful. And this is where, man, I was getting antsy today. I think it's because my first day back in a long time. I come in with Empoleon right away and throw Hydro Cannon. Like, I know they're swapping out. You can see the frustration right here. Hydro Cannon into Tropius. Had I thrown Drill Peck into Tropius for that super effective damage, I think we win this game. And you might be going, whoa, whoa, whoa. There ain't no way Shadow Gallade is going to take down the Tropius. But just look at this, right? Double close combat, which means we go charge attack priority against Magnezone in the back. If I threw the Drill Peck, look at how much health. Look at that. If that was Drill Peck instead of Hydro Cannon, we win. So, good game to my opponent. They threw, and then I threw. We're just kind of, yeah. It wasn't the best performance on my side, but good battle anyways. Alright, moving to the next one. We've got Charizard on the lead. Again, another flyer where we have 2 good answers, and they swap in Frostlass. This is a learning lesson, everyone. Frostlass is not a safe swap into an Empoleon because, tell you what, the Empoleon will fully fast move farm you down. There just ain't no way around it. Steel Wing is a full farm down. That is a good game. That's a lesson. Usually I don't show these kind of videos or battles. This happens doesn't happen quite a bit, but in a few sets I'll have battles like that. Don't swap in Frostlass, right? Good battle. Alright, next one we have, it was Golbat lead with a Quagsire swap in, so obviously we're coming in with that Shadow Gallade. And this is, again, something cool about running the Empoleon Zapdos combination is you have 2 good answers for Flyer, so you don't necessarily have to make sure you maintain switch advantage. So by getting myself the 1-0 shields in this kind of scenario could play out well for me. So we're going to go for another Leaf Blade. They decide to shield, so there we go. We got the 1-0s, and we're going to go ahead and let the Aqua Tail go through. It's not going to be enough to one-shot, but it's going to force them to throw the second one right away if I don't get to this Leaf Blade, and they do throw it. So I could shield and all that, but I think the play is the 1-0 shield advantage because both Zapdos and Empoleon can handle that Golbat. So we're just going to come in, we're going to go for Hydro Cannon right here. Now this is not Shadow, this is normal Quagsire, so this actually doesn't one-shot like previous ones we have in the past. So we're going to get hit with some Aqua Tails here, which is fine, but this gives us actually an opening to farm down with Steel Wing. Now my opponent decides to swap into Golbat, which is fine by me. I'm going to overload, or start loading up on energy, and they throw Poison Fang right away. This was on 5. So we're going to swap out now into Zapdos because if they swapped in Golbat, maybe they're weak to the Empoleon in the back. So we're going to save that energy. I know the Zapdos here can get rid of Golbat effortlessly with the Drill Peck. Boom, down it goes. And now we get to see why did they swap in the Golbat. And they now bring in Quagsire. And I'm just like, okay, they do not like either Zapdos or Empoleon, maybe both. They needed Quagsire to try to get that Aqua Tail right there, and it's Clodsire in the back. So that makes a lot of sense. The Empoleon was a huge core breaker for them. So good battle to my opponent. And that was the final one. So good first couple sets, all positive sets actually coming back, which was actually really nice. You guys just saw all the battles, and overall pretty good. I would say Empoleon, fantastic. Zapdos had a lot of play, but the Shadow Gallade maybe could have been replaced with something else. Off the top of my head, I don't know, but something to protect you against fighters and some electric, and be able to handle safe swap Quagsires. So take a look at what you got for that. But overall, it was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.